Hey guys, welcome to week 2. BJ on Game Day back here, Brent Hampton and Josh King. Just a round 2 review, going through the highs and lows from the weekend. We saw a few players bounce back and a lot of scores go a little bit higher this week than round 1. How'd you go, Brent?
Yeah, mate, pretty good week for me in round 2. A little bit better than round 1. 12.40 I ended up on once lockout was over, so it's put me on a grand total of 22.80 for the season so far.
Solid, very solid.
And brought me in from around the 3,300 overall rank to 215. So
215?
big jump. Didn't expect it. I was hoping to just staying around the top 1,000 was good, but yeah, pretty stoked. And
top 1,000 in round 26 is nice.
Yeah,
but round 2,
yeah,
it's a good start.
Yeah, best start to a Supercoach season for me, so hopefully I can continue, but now I'm onto the pump. So.
Yeah.
What about you, mate?
Mate, not as strong as you. I only picked up 1,110 points this week, a lot stronger than round 1. Jumped me up from about 60,000 spot to 28,000. So a long way to go. A few good players. It was good to see a few guys hit back this week with JT, Teddy, the Turbo brothers. So SJ had a good week as well. DCE, yeah. So a lot of those guys who I guess didn't massively step up in round 1 really hit back in round 2 and just showed us why they were in our teams from the start, why they are Supercoach relevant. So a big week for a few of those players. One thing I've stuffed up on a couple of times so far is my captain. I went Teddy in round 1 and I went Munster in round 2. I've been absolutely destroyed by the Tigers both weeks. I thought they'd be the wooden spooners, and they've proved me nothing but wrong. They've played 2 massive games in defence and have shut down Teddy and Munster massively. So, look, that's it for me. Is sort of the captain so far has been my struggling point, but hopefully we can change that this week.
Yeah, mate. And to be honest, getting that captain right, and we've talked about this before, is the difference between 1,100 and potentially 12 and 1,300, or top 10,000 or top 5,000 and top 1,000.
Yeah.
I know last year I was pretty solid most of the year, but I just couldn't hit the captains. And it adds up pretty quickly if you're missing them. So if you can get that right, your 1,100 becomes 1,250, the same as us. So it's
exactly
the beauty of Supercoach.
Yes. That said, have you had any thoughts about your captain this early in the week, mate?
Yeah, mate, I do. I guess once the round ends, I always tend to have a quick gander at the captain or loop possibilities for the week. And I guess there's a couple that stand out for me on my side. And regardless of what's happened for the past 2 weeks, the first one that pops out is probably Milford. They play on the Friday night against the Tigers, and I know the Tigers have been very good. But it's more of a reflection on Milford. I really liked what I saw from him on Friday night. The McCulloch influence was just great for that whole Brisbane side, and it let Milford do his thing. So
we talked about that last week. They were a different team. You put McCulloch out there in the 9 from the start. Broncos were a different team. They had more go forward. It allowed the halves to be a little bit more expensive. James Roberts in the centres was brilliant again. They're a different team when he's there.
And a couple of the forwards like TPJ, Lodge had a good game. They're just when they get that good direction, they're a different side. That being said, the Tigers have held 2 of the best teams in the comp to 8 points and beat both of them the last couple of weeks in some gritty wins. But I just think Milford's a bit of a jack in the box. He's building up to something he might explode. I don't know if it's this week. I'm probably going to make him blue, put the vice on him. I don't know if I have the cojones to go the captain straight out, but he's definitely one option. A couple other guys would be SJ against the Raiders. It's just SJ. It doesn't matter the opposition, but SJ, and then as much as I don't like to say it, again Teddy against my boys up on Sunday night against Newcastle. It's just he showed some of the glimpses of what he can do. And
the Knights probably showed they were a little bit weak defensively against the Raiders on Sunday.
I think the thing that concerns me with our boys is the edges. Those combinations of the centres and the wingers and even the back rowers aren't all there yet. And there's the combinations in attack, and Brownie even said this in a press conference today, but there's more importantly the combinations in defence.
Yeah.
And where we've been liable, where we've looked really vulnerable at times to me, is on the edges, and Canberra did show that on the weekend. And if we don't get that right against the Chooks, guys like Teddy and some of those outside backs could show us up. So not writing us off, but they're definitely the areas I'm looking at, and a couple of the options for me. What about you, mate? You got any different ones?
Mate, I think you're spot on with Milf. I'm not going Milf. I'm going to put him in the VC. I'm going to obviously play the loop angle there. For my captain, I'm going to go Turbo.
Yep.
Obviously, Manly had a massive win over the Eels on the weekend. Parramatta were dreadful. They just didn't put in any effort. I think, look, Manly were great. Don't get me wrong, Manly were great, but I think by the end of the 54-0 drubbing, it was more about how much Parramatta didn't put in. That said, towards that back end of the match, Turbo was just everywhere. He was just looking everywhere. He just really looked good. I thought there might be a bit of an injury concern towards the end of the match, but I think that was just sort of footy soreness. So I'm going to chuck the C on him. Yeah, South.
Yeah, okay.
South. So I just think, again, South have probably shown in that first couple of weeks they're vulnerable in defence. Great in attack, but just that vulnerability in defence, I think Turbo might just tear them apart. So we'll wait and see there. But yeah.
The only other thing I'd say, and this is something a bit different for me, in the past I've always looked to forwards as a captaincy option because they're a bit more consistent and get those big scores. But this year I haven't gone a forward as yet, and I don't know if I will anytime soon because there isn't any standouts that are pumping out those really good premium forward scores this year so far. So that safety or consistency doesn't appear to be there.
That's the hard thing. Gallen hasn't performed. Tamalolo hasn't performed as yet. These blokes, as we know it, they were always the set and forgets. Cameron Smith as well. So we're sort of looking for different options.
Yeah, and that's going to be the difference again between make or breaking you. If you hit one of these guys and they do ton up, or like Cherry Evans get you 130, whatever it is, you're going to reap the rewards. Yeah. But at the same time, there's high risk there because they might pump out a 30 or a 40. But just something interesting to note, I think.
Yeah. Few injuries over the weekend, mate. We saw a couple of guys who Supercoach relevant or Supercoach not relevant go out with injuries. Jordan Kahu and Daniel Tupou were probably the worst of the lot. Both are out for sort of 10 to 12 weeks each, maybe even longer. So we won't see them for a while. Joey Leilua, very popular player from Canberra with his price this year. Talking about syndesmosis in the ankle. So again, that's about a 4 to 8 week depending on the severity. But they're just waiting for scans back for that one.
Yep. Yeah, mate, and I think whilst an injury is never a good thing to a player, the Kahu one now opens the door up probably for, I'd like to think, Asako to be there for a little bit longer. Maybe not. I've heard Bird's going to be back soon. Opachet did play as well, but it was funny they actually ran him on the bench because they had a natural centre.
Straight
in, but I'd like to think that Asako ends up being a bit nicer of a few more weeks in there, hopefully. BJ, I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen at Canberra. I know Whitehead can fill in the centres there, but Tapanay's out, so they're a bit thin in the back row. Maybe someone like Louis has to fill in the back rows coming on. I have no idea if there's someone else in the wings, like the big Fijian bloke, Masawiki, I can't say his name, but I have no idea. It's Monday night, we haven't seen the list, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. Tupu, again, another big one. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that one, whether Reece Robinson ends up getting the spot.
I talked about Reece Robinson in a pod special earlier in the year. Look, I'm a big fan of Reece Robinson, even before he went to Union. Loved how he plays, just knows how to find a try line. If he can get the wing spot, he's definitely someone you can look at in that 300,000 range if you're looking for a pod in the centre wing position.
I guess, and the only other options I'd mention on that is that potentially Latrell can slide out onto that wing spot. Someone like Orbison could play there. Madison maybe if they needed him to. So again, wait until team lists come out, but there's a few different options for him there.
Now, one injury that a few super coaches would be disappointed with over the weekend was Isaiah Papali for the Warriors. Came off fairly early in the match. Look, they're saying it's only about a week or two for a knee injury. But that said, Simon Mannering's due back. A couple of other forwards have been performing with Liggy Sow and things like that. So I guess it's just a wait and see with him. Unfortunately, super coaches won't get the price rise they're after from him this week. But he may just be a hold for now.
Yeah, a bit cruel that one because he was doing well for one of those cheapy back rows at the start of the year. I don't have him in my team. I don't have that problem, fortunately. But yeah, a bit stiff for anyone that does have him. Feel for you guys. But Yeah, probably a hold. I know he's that awkwardish sort of. He's 220, I think, around that 220 price. So yeah, unless there's any really unreal prospects in the back row, which I don't think there is probably a hold for now.
Yeah. Couple of concussions over the weekend. GI and Mitch Barnett both went out with concussion. They'll just be a monitor. I noticed Newcastle didn't back up Bureau this week after he had the same last week with concussion. So we'll just a wait and see there. No doubt they'll both be named, but whether they actually take part this weekend, wait and see. The other big news this week is Clint Gutherson has been named to be out for another month. So originally expected back in round 3, the Eels would push that out to round 8, and I think we talked about it with how dreadful they were on the weekend. They need some kind of spark back, and he's probably it.
Yeah, mate, as we discussed, I think that fullback position is so important, and I know it's not Bevan French's fault completely, but the influence the fullback can have is so big that they need, in such a slump, they need that player to be bringing something. And for me, it's not French. He's been given the opportunity. Maybe if Gutho was fit, he would have been there. I think they need to probably throw Hayne back there because they need to change something, and very quickly, because after that drumming, there's going to be a lot of questions to answer.
Yeah. Now this is one of the biggest weeks in Supercoach. It's where the first price changes come in after this weekend coming. We're going to see a lot of low break evens with the cheapies and the rookies come in and things like that. Who's your eye on? Or I guess, we've got a lot of them in our team already. Run me through a few.
Yeah, mate. So I guess for me in my team, I'm trying to find some of those cash cows in my centre wing positions. That being said, I already have a lot of them. So guys like Kenner, guys like Hiku, Asako even, they're going to be some good cows. But I'm also having a really close look at Corey Thompson, Sammy from the Titans. But in order to bring one of those guys in, I'm going to have to downgrade probably someone like Latrell.
Yep.
Which I'm not sold on, but he hasn't started the season how I thought he would have. So my issue is he's essentially my only premium in the centres at the moment. I could downgrade him to an Aitken, a Mansour, someone like that.
Yeah.
Or I could bank the cash, which I could probably use, and go someone like a Thompson and just hold the cash. So
a lot of the talk around Latrell at the start of the season was how he was going to benefit from Cronk coming and Teddy, that he looked a little bit trimmer, but we're just seeing the same lazy player that we've seen the last couple of years. I hope he gets out of it. We've seen when he does switch on how good he is. I think when he switches on, he just looks the exact same as GI, maybe even better in his heyday. But yeah, it's just a worrying sign. How long do you keep him for? Do you hold, or do you just sell now and cut your losses?
Yeah, and I know it's probably going to happen in the next month or so. He is going to blow up, but there's going to be a week. He hasn't scored a try. I don't even know. Has he had a line break? I don't think so. It is going to happen eventually. It's inevitable, just the player that he is. But I have been a bit unimpressed, and I don't have a lot of other players I need to trade or want to trade. And in order to generate a bit of cash or just add a bit of something to my team, that's where I'm looking this week.
I looked at getting him out this week. I've got him as my prime centre. I just think the week's coming where the Roosters put 50 or 60 on a team. With him goal kicking, he's going to score a try in that match whenever that match does come. I'm thinking it'll be in the next sort of 4 or 6 weeks. I can see him scoring that 120, 130. If he can keep banging out if he can raise those 30s and 40s to 50s, I'm happy to have him. Look, it is a lot of money sort of sitting there for a 50 average, but I'm happy to have him if he can do that, and hopefully the 120, 130 shows up eventually. I
think and a little bit of difference, you have that luxury because you've got Aitken and Mansour there, those premium strike sort of outside backs. I don't have those guys because I've run so thin elsewhere. So I need whoever that is to be scoring points for me. So I know full well that I'm going to kick myself.
So it's the guy ranked 215 folks. He's a bit thin in the backs, but he's ranked 215.
He's goal kicking, and it will click eventually. And anyone that sells him is going to. I just hope it's not the week that I sell him, and it's this week. Yep. I think the prospect of him, if he does move to the wing, he's maybe naturally going to get a few more points there, possibly, but depends what happens. But Yeah, enough about Latrell.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other things we could talk about. What do you got?
As we talked about, obviously a lot of guys with break-evens, low break-evens. We've got, got blokes like Richie Kenner, Philip Semi, Viliamu Kikia, Peter Hiku, Damien Cook, Jair. A lot of these guys were sort of, minus 20 to minus 80 break-even. So there's a lot of money to be made, folks, this week, and that's one of the keys in Supercoach is by the end of the season, you want to be able to afford to have that, that strike side of 18 to 19 guns. So this is how you start. For anyone who's obviously joined Supercoach this year, you want to have as many of these guys in so that gradually over the next sort of 12 to 14 weeks, you can use what they make with money, sub-amount, and bring in the better guys.
Yep.
One guy that I'm looking at, and we talked about obviously with the captaincy not having too many options in the forward packs. I haven't had him. You've had him from the start as Trent Merrin. Trent Merrin's come back and in 2 games he has looked great.
Yep.
Obviously whatever off-field issues he might have had last season that got to the head, those are well behind him. He just looks sensational, and if you're looking for that safe captain pick and if you've got him there, I think he might be the one to go with.
Yeah, mate, I guess, when I picked him I didn't have, I just had been inkling. I went with my gut because I just had read a few things pre-season. I thought, I'm going to take a punt because I wanted to save a bit of cash. Now I haven't seen him play yet. That's great. He's back there now and he's looking really good. My main concern is the minutes. He played 50 minutes in round 1. He played 57 in round 2, so they're getting up there, and it has been hot in the last few weeks that they've played. Like, I'm taking that into consideration as well. It's been a real hot paddock out there for him. First couple of weeks, that's not ideal, and they're just sort of getting back out there. But if he can, I know he's going to be on a lot of people's buy list, and when they're trying to downgrade someone like a Gallon or something like that this week, a lot of people are going to bring him in. Now that I have him, I'm definitely going to keep him. I think he's got a negative break even, or a low break even is.
Yeah.
Just a low break even, so easy to take a punt. Minutes concern me, but I can only imagine they're going to go up. If you can get like 60, 65 minutes, he's back, in my opinion. Got the base, got the attacking threat, so.
And I think obviously someone of his pedigree, if he starts to perform, that makes it a little bit harder for those other Penrith second rows to score points. Your kick-outs, your Harawira and Neras, blokes like that. So obviously a lot of people looking at kick-out to make a little bit of cash. I said at the start of the season I thought he'd be this year's Harawira and Nera. I think if Merrin performs a lot more, that's going to stop that. So just a wait and see, I guess.
Yep.
Trade time, mate.
Yes.
Where are you leaning towards? Obviously, we're only Monday night here, guys. We haven't got Team List Tuesday just yet. Injuries and such we've still got to wait for, but what are your early thoughts?
Yeah, so going into last week, I considered Milford, but I was happy with what I saw. He's got a high break even, 130 odd. Not ideal, but I've seen enough, and I just think he's going to do what he did at times last year. So he was potentially on the chopping block this week, but I'm going to keep him. Given what's happened in the past 2 rounds, I don't like to change anything if it's working a lot of the time. So given what I've done, the main one I'm looking at is Mitchell. So I don't know who it's going to be that I end up bringing in. I'd say it's probably going to be an Aitken or a Mansour, to be honest. But I'll have a think about whether I need to generate a couple 100,000 and think about some other moves I might want to make with my forward pack or a couple of my reserve places there. And if I need a couple 100,000, then there's a good chance I'll go to Thompson. I'm not entirely sure yet. I'll have a think, have a look at the draws of a couple of these guys. I know Mansour's got a really good base and he hasn't scored yet, so I think it's only a matter of time for someone like that. So I'm tempted.
He has been looking as well. He has been looking as well. A lot of people were nervous about him not getting the ball, but he's out there looking for the ball. There's going to come the match where he scores a double.
I think so. He doesn't have he's got a 50 odd break even, and I think he'll stay around. I can't see him getting under 450 or much below it this season, given how he started. They've also benched Peachy in the last game, so Vare's back. Vare still has some sticky hands, but not as much as Peachy. So that's where I'm looking at the moment. For anyone else out there, I mean, this is a guy who the experts, Sangster and whatnot, they all wrote him off before the season started because of the switch of clubs. But I'm a big fan and I'm stoked that I started with him, and it's Tohu Harris. If you haven't got him, I think you've got to get him in. If you're looking to downgrade a Gallon or someone like that, or you've got a bit of cash and you've had enough with Cartwright, something like that. Toby Harris, he's playing 80 minutes. I shouldn't really be telling anyone this because he was a really good secret the first couple of weeks. Playing 80 minutes. His base on the weekend was as good as any back rower in the comp. He scored 55 points in base. Got the attacking stats, the combination with SJ is looking really good. If you've got Hiku, he's on that sort of side as well. So, yeah, pretty happy with him so far. But if you're looking for someone, 500 odd K, this is probably the week to get him because I only imagine he's going to go up from here.
Yeah, I was definitely one of the doubters for him, but he's proved that wrong very, very quickly.
Yeah, what about you, mate? What are you looking at this week for trades?
Mate, I banked a bit of cash last week when I got rid of Mitch Barnett and Jay Brom. This week I'm just going to go with Sione Katoa for the Sharks. We're going to trade him out and bring in Corey Thompson. I think what we've seen from Thompson in the first 2 weeks, in a non-attacking West Tigers, obviously they've won and they've beat the Roosters and Melbourne, but they haven't put any points on the board. They've just been dour matches. And Thompson, he's running that 15 to 18 runs every match. Really good base. Again, a nice low break even in the negative, so I think I'll just bring him in and he'll complement my backs pretty well. So at the moment I'm a little bit weak in my front row. I'm really, really hurting. I had Fisher, Harris and Rocco in there starting over the weekend, and both of those only scored in the mid-20s. So that's somewhere I've got some concerns about that I've got to bolster up eventually. Hopefully with these cash rises in the next week, I can look to that. But for now, I'll get in Thompson. Just the one trade this week though. Obviously it's only early, but I've looked and looked today, and I think that's the only one I can justify. I've got all the cheapies in there. I really sort of looked into those before the season started, so pretty happy there.
No, it sounds pretty good to me, mate. I think you still probably want to try and hold some of the trades now, especially as we've got a 37 instead of the 40 we're used to. And there's also that super round where you can make 5 trades, so bit of a different strategy and approach. And believe it or not, you probably want to start having to think about the buys now, because I didn't think about it at all when I picked my side, but if you're like me and you haven't, now's the time to, as funny as it sounds, start having to think about it, because it'll come around quicker than you think, and you want to make sure you're covered there, but we'll talk about that as we get a bit closer to it.
Just an update on the BJ on GameDay League. We've obviously had round 2 come. Brent remains on top. Overall ranked 215, ranked number 1 in BJ on GameDay. At the other end of the table is yours truly. After scoring 1110, I managed to go backwards from second last to last. So for the moment our cash is safe as our good captain is on top. But we've got Lockie in second and Ted third. We're having a little bit of fun, so it's all well and good.
I'm going to say it's a solid league. I didn't know what sort of reception we'd get in terms of the guys joining the league and who was watching and whatnot, but credit to everyone that's in the league. No scores below 1,000 this week, all bar 1100. The league is ranked 44th overall, which is, after round 2, that's still pretty respectable. So guys, keep it going. Let's see if we can make this league maybe top 10 league by the end of the season. I don't know, but it's looking really solid, and I'm very concerned at this point in time, mate, because if I didn't have this bumper start, we better start.
We'd be in trouble, definitely. But that's it for week 2, folks. Join us next week, hopefully with Team List Tuesday tomorrow. There's some kind replacements for the injuries, but give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube, and we'll see you all next week.